Just in, my people, this one is making headlines everywhere. 6 days after that dramatic incident in Burkina Faso, reports are still saying that Nigerian soldiers are being detained over there, and this matter has now turned into one of the biggest international stories around West Africa this week. You see, this story is not just about one plane landing, it's about trust, communication, and how sensitive things are between neighboring countries right now. So sit back and listen carefully as I explain exactly what happened, what is being said, and why it's causing so much attention. And as you're listening, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you can always get updates whenever we drop new breaking stories. Now, let's go straight into it. Sometime early last week, a Nigerian Air Force plane, one of those big C-130 Hercules aircraft, took off from Lagos, heading on what the military called a ferry mission to Portugal. A ferry mission basically means they were moving the plane from one location to another, not for any combat or secret operation, just a normal repositioning flight. Along the way, while flying across West African airspace, the pilots noticed a technical issue with the aircraft. And according to flight safety rules, when a pilot senses that something could be wrong, the first thing to do is to make an emergency landing at the nearest safe airport. That's exactly what they did. The nearest airfield happened to be in Bobo-Dioulasso, a city inside Burkina Faso. Now, this was meant to be a normal emergency landing. But this single move quickly became an international issue. The authorities in Burkina Faso said the plane entered their airspace without proper authorization, and they immediately detained the 11 Nigerian Air Force personnel on board for questioning. Nigeria, on the other hand, said it was just an emergency landing caused by a technical problem, and that the crew should have been helped, not held. This difference in understanding is what created all the confusion we are seeing right now. Please, if you're following so far, remember to give this video a like, it really helps this channel grow and keeps us bringing you fresh and clear news stories like this one. So from that moment, tension started rising between the two countries. Burkina Faso belongs to a regional bloc called the Alliance of Sahel States. Together with Mali and Niger, these are countries that recently formed a kind of military partnership after cutting ties with ECOWAS. Nigeria, on the other hand, is a leading country in ECOWAS. So, when the Nigerian plane suddenly landed in Burkina Faso without prior clearance, it came at a time when trust was already low in the region. Some leaders over there even called it an unfriendly act, saying that they needed to know what the plane was really doing in their airspace. Meanwhile, the Nigerian side made it very clear that the plane was not on any secret or spying mission. It wasn't carrying weapons, and it wasn't there to interfere in any country's affairs. The Air Force said it was a standard technical diversion, purely for safety reasons. They also assured Nigerians that all 11 personnel on board were safe and being treated well by Burkina Faso authorities. Still, many Nigerians began to ask, if they were truly safe and if there was no wrongdoing, why were they still being detained 6 days after? Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Some international media outlets earlier in the week reported that the soldiers had already been released and were on their way back home. But the Nigerian Foreign Affairs Minister, Yusuf Taga, later told journalists that those reports were not entirely correct. He said that while discussions were ongoing, the soldiers had not yet been fully cleared to return home. In other words, the diplomatic talks were still happening behind closed doors. So even though some newspapers celebrated their release, the truth is that the official clearance hadn't been completed. Please, if you're watching right now, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because we always break down stories like this clearly so you can understand everything without stress. Now let's continue. According to multiple sources, the government in Burkina Faso wanted to understand exactly why a Nigerian military aircraft entered their airspace. They wanted official documents and explanations to show that the landing wasn't part of any larger plan. Remember, just recently, Nigeria assisted the Benin Republic in stopping a coup attempt, which involved some military operations. So, when this Nigerian aircraft landed suddenly in Burkina Faso, many people over there started linking it to that Benin incident, even though the two situations are unrelated. That's how rumors started flying around, and that's why this case quickly became so political. Nigeria's foreign minister addressed this publicly, saying clearly that the landing had nothing to do with the Benin situation and that the Air Force crew simply followed international safety procedures. He said the government was handling the matter diplomatically and that there was no reason for panic. However, as of today, 6 days after the landing, reports still say the personnel are yet to be released, which shows that negotiations may still be ongoing quietly. Now let's talk about the big picture. This incident shows how fragile relations between some West African countries have become. In the past, something like an emergency landing would have been resolved within hours. One country would call the other, explain what happened, and everything would be sorted quickly. But now, because of new alliances, suspicions, and the ongoing tension between ECOWAS and the Sahel bloc, every small action is being viewed with caution. If you think about it, this could have easily been avoided with better communication systems. Some experts have even suggested that ECOWAS and the Sahel Alliance should set up an emergency hotline, a special line where air traffic controllers and defense departments can quickly alert each other when a military plane is in trouble. That way, there won't be this kind of misunderstanding again. It's a good idea, and I think it's something the region really needs to consider. Another important thing to note is that the Nigerian Air Force has launched its own investigation into what caused the technical problem on that C-130 plane. They want to understand what went wrong mid-flight and ensure it doesn't happen again. That's important because these aircraft are crucial for military logistics, disaster relief, and peacekeeping missions. So making sure they are in perfect working condition is a priority. While all this is going on, many Nigerians back home have been praying and hoping for the quick release of the detained personnel. Families are worried, and the Air Force has assured them that their loved ones are safe. According to reports, the soldiers have not been harmed, and they have been treated well during this period. But of course, everyone wants to see them back home as soon as possible. Now, let's think about the lesson behind this story. It's not just about a plane landing, it's about how communication, trust, and diplomacy can prevent bigger issues. This is a reminder that even in emergency situations, clear channels between countries are vital. Mistakes or misinterpretations can easily lead to tension if not managed carefully. Also, this incident reminds us how important it is for the public to wait for official confirmation before jumping to conclusions. When those first reports came out saying the soldiers were released, many people celebrated. But hours later, when the minister clarified that negotiations were still on, the story changed again. This shows that sometimes, being patient for verified information is better than spreading half-truths. If you've listened this far, I really appreciate you. Please like this video right now if you haven't done so already, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our updates. We bring you real stories, in simple and clear English, without hype or confusion. Now, let's look at what could happen next. The first likely step is that both governments will finalize discussions through diplomatic channels. Once Burkina Faso's officials are satisfied with the paperwork and technical explanations, they are expected to release the personnel. After that, Nigeria may also issue an official statement confirming their return and clarifying what caused the technical issue. That will likely bring this story to a calm end. The second possible outcome is that this event could push both countries, and even their neighboring nations, to create a new framework for military flight coordination. That means they may agree on better systems for handling emergencies, authorizations, and information sharing. That would be a very good outcome because it means a small misunderstanding like this could lead to better regional cooperation in the long run. Now, as we round up this story, let's not forget the human side of it. Those 11 Nigerian personnel are trained officers who found themselves in a challenging situation. Their mission wasn't meant to cause trouble, they were simply following aviation safety procedures. Yet, because of regional politics, they got caught in the middle. It's a reminder that behind every headline, there are real people involved, families, pilots, engineers, all affected by the ripple effects of international tension. If you are watching right now, take a second, please, to like this video. It helps this channel so much and allows us to keep creating content like this every single day. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now so you'll be among the first to get the latest updates. As I speak to you, diplomatic efforts are still ongoing. The Nigerian government has continued engaging quietly, and officials are confident that the situation will soon be resolved peacefully. Many analysts believe that both countries want to avoid any escalation, and they are likely to settle it through dialogue. So, in summary, what happened is simple. A Nigerian military aircraft experienced a technical problem, made an emergency landing in Burkina Faso, and the authorities there detained the crew for entering without authorization. Nigeria insists it was just a safety issue, not a political one. Talks are ongoing, and though some reports said the soldiers were released, official comments show the process is still not fully complete. It's been 6 days now, and everyone is waiting for the final resolution. But the story also highlights bigger lessons about communication, diplomacy, and trust in the region. These are lessons that both sides, and even the whole of West Africa, can learn from. And as we continue to follow this developing story, I promise to bring you every confirmed update right here, explained simply and clearly so you can understand exactly what's going on. Please, before you leave, hit that like button one more time and subscribe to this channel. We are committed to keeping you informed with clear, real, and ad-friendly news without unnecessary drama. Let's keep hoping for a positive outcome and the safe return of our Nigerian Air Force crew very soon. Thank you for listening all through, and remember, always verify, stay calm, and stay informed.